Today we're going to be learning the very beginning of every crochet project, which is the foundation chain. This is going to determine how many stitches wide your project is, or how many stitches are in the circumference if you're doing a round project. Before beginning, you need to choose your yarn. In this case, I have a nice orange acrylic yarn. And you need to choose your crochet hook. Today I'm going to be using a size H hook, which is 5 millimeters. When you're trying to determine which kind of hook you want to use, you need to look at the ball band for your yarn. In the case of the yarn that I'm using today, it says here, right here, you see the little crochet hook symbol, and it recommends 5 millimeter or US 8/H. Depending on which type of yarn you're using, you may see just the millimeters or just the letters, but it will always tell you roughly what size hook or needle to use. And to begin the foundation chain, you need to take the end of our yarn and start it in a loop around your finger. So what you want to do is take the very end of the yarn and hold it in your hand like this. Use your other fingers to hold the end of the yarn securely and wrap the yarn counterclockwise around your index finger. Make sure that the long end of the yarn comes in front of the short end of the yarn, and then you'll take your crochet hook and insert it through the loop underneath. Use the hook part to catch the long piece and pull it through the loop. Then you can pull both ends to tighten it, and you have your slip knot, which is the very beginning of the chain. Now to make the chain, we use a very similar technique. You want to hold your yarn taut. I like to wrap it around my fingers like this, but you can hold it however is comfortable for you. Just make sure the yarn coming from the ball is taut, and you're holding the original slipped stitch with your middle finger and thumb to keep it secure. But make sure you can move your your hook in and out of the stitch easily. So now to make each chain stitch, we're going to put the yarn over the hook in a clockwise direction so that it is wrapped from back to front around the hook, and you can catch the yarn with the hooked part. So then you just take the yarn and drag it through the first loop, pulling up so that you have a new loop on the hook. Then we just keep moving up. So you put the yarn from back to front around the hook, catch the yarn with your hook, and then pull it through the loop. We'll do this a few more times, from back to front, catching it with the hook and through the loop. And we'll just go a few more. Now once you have the number of chains required in your project, or if you're not using a pattern, the number of chains that gives you the width you want, you'll be able to start on the next section. Before beginning the next section or the first row, you want to look at your chain and make sure it looks right. You should have one side that is smooth V's like this. It almost looks like knitting. And then on the other side, you'll see a bunch of bumps in between each stitch. As long as your crocheting looks like this, you know you've done the chain right. Most chains will be 1 or 2 stitches longer than the final stitch count of your project. For example, if you're going to be doing a single crochet scarf that is 10 stitches wide, you would want to make 11 chains, because you will skip over the first chain when going to do your first stitch. That way there's enough room so that the chain is not pulled tight and there's no strange angles at the end of your project. Okay, so just to recap, we started off with the slip knot, holding our yarn, winding it around, and bringing the hook through. Pulled the slip knot tight, and then went on to bring the yarn from back to front over the hook, through the loop, and continue that as many times as we need to get the chain length we want. So that's it for the foundation chain, and now you're ready to move on to your first row. Thank you for watching, and make sure to check out our other videos.